let's jump in and have a chat with our guest. Chewie's already done a little bit of fangirling, which is kind of cool, Chewie. He's massive on TikTok, and he tells the truth straight from the tractor. It is Craig, aka DairyManNZ, and he joins us right now. Kia ora, Craig, straight out of Ash Vegas. How are you, man?
Yeah, you're all great. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, no, thanks
No
for coming
worries,
on.
glad to have you.
I've been peppered with people saying, talk to Craig, talk to Craig, talk to Craig about all this, talk to Craig. And so you've been very generous with your time. We showed one of your TikToks last night. I believe it was the one here where you kind of said, this feels like a bit of a PR stunt, the meeting with Fonterra.
Yeah, look, I think Nicola Willis knows exactly what the answers to her questions are going to be before she even reaches the meeting. Willis held some fairly senior roles at Fonterra for 6 years. She has in-depth knowledge of the legislation governing Fonterra. She knows exactly how the Farmgate milk price is calculated and set. She understands wholesale pricing. She knows that the wholesale price is only changed every 3 months, and any fluctuation in retail price between those times is outside of the hands of the...
So, and we pointed out that it sounded like what you were saying is a little bit of showboating going on, a little bit of performative conversation from the finance minister. So we thought we'd love to get you on and just have a bit of a talk about it. So why don't we start there? You've got some thoughts, some feelings around Nicola Willis and her performance this week. What are your thoughts?
She was not helped at all by her leader, who went on and contradicted her almost immediately. And I think she was on Heather Duplessis Allen's drive when she said she was going to bring Miles in for a chat. There's a bit of media interest after that and a speculation about what they were going to be talking about. I mean, it's a scheduled meeting that they have every month or so. And then Luxon went on to Hosking and said, no, actually, Miles called the meeting, which was absolute bollocks, of course, which only fed the circus. So it... And then the story just got away with them. People were expecting Fonterra to be hauled over the coals. They were expecting solutions. They were expecting resolution. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the price of butter has not changed. There was nothing in that meeting that ever was going to change the price of butter, and everybody that was participating knew that. That's just not how it works.
And Nicola Willis has come out to say that consumers are, quote, not getting a raw deal, end quote, on butter. In other words, we are paying an appropriate price for butter. So that's come out 2 days after the meeting. So obviously exactly what you said. Don't expect anything from the meeting. It's performative. It's exactly how it's ended up.
Mm-hmm. And to spin it further, she went back on the attack on supermarkets, which is where the whole thing started anyway. So I'm not quite sure what the sideshow. I'm sure Chris Quinn from Foodstuffs was rubbing his hands thinking that the heat was off him and Fonterra was going to get it now, but no, the heat is straight back on the supermarkets. And fair enough too, they're the ones being called a cartel. They're the ones being held to account by the Commerce Commission, not Fonterra. So I'm quite happy for the attention to go back on them. Thank you very much.
It is interesting as well, because let's say she has, and I mean like grain of salt, bucket of salt, let's say that she has identified the issue in the supermarkets. The next step would be then doing something about it, and they're not doing anything about it. So Chewie for a long time says that this government is good at identifying problems, but very randomly do they come up with finding the solutions to those problems.
I've said exactly the same thing about Labor governments. Is that they're very, very good at the ideas, but the execution is failing. And did you see the Emerson cartoon a couple of days ago? That I'm pretty sure I retweeted it, with a lineup of I think the past 6 or 7 prime ministers all talking about supermarkets and no action. And I took that to mean that if there was an easy solution to grocery prices, we would have found it by now.
Yeah, true. Chewie, so you got some thoughts, some questions?
Yeah, so as I noticed, you're sitting there wearing a Fonterra shirt. What's the feeling, I guess, with people in your boat as far as you see these prices go up, and you see the reaction online from New Zealanders going, well, we don't think this is fair. how much do you think it would affect you if they say took the the product that's for sale in New Zealand and just did it at cost? Would that affect what you get paid at the farm gate or anything like that?
See, that's not how the Farmgate milk price is calculated. So that's it. I
Please
think
let me know.
where that will affect me is my dividend from Fonterra. So that won't just affect farmers. That'll affect all Fonterra shareholders. I don't know. Another interesting one I thought where Willis totally missed the boat was talking to Fonterra, is we've just had a brand new butter factory commissioned in Matamata, and 100% of that butter is going to be exported. Thank you, Tallies. Why aren't we talking, if you want more competition domestically, why are we allowing a dairy factory to collect New Zealand milk, process it into butter, and export 100% of it?
Can we take a step back, Craig? Can you explain to us city folk how to get to the price of a block of butter? We keep getting told, global trading prices. I mean, it seems that most products that you buy in a shop, there'll be a manufacturing cost for the wood and the screws and the glue, and then there'll be a margin put on top, and then that'll be what it sells for in the shop. How do we actually get this price? Because I don't understand it.
Okay, I haven't done the math recently, but I did do the math on the TikTok a while back, so I'll use those figures. And that was when butter was at its peak. I think it was $7,990 a ton, and I think at that point the exchange rate was 62 cents. It's come back then. So every 2 weeks we have an auction, a global market, and that actually sets the floor for the price of these commodities. It doesn't set the high price, it sets the floor. That is the minimum somebody is willing to pay for that product. And there's bidders from all over the world. And I'll take an even further step back and tell you why butter prices are so high. Is the Europeans have been concentrating on making cheese, because when you make butter, you've got butter and you've got buttermilk, and buttermilk powder is worth almost nothing. So you've got a product and an almost worthless byproduct. When you make cheese, you've got your cheese, which is valuable, and then you've got your whey protein, which is very valuable. So the Europeans were making less butter because they were concentrating on cheese. Plus, they've got all these diseases. They've got foot and mouth. They've got blue tongue.
Right.
So European production was very constrained. New Zealand, we were at the end of the season, so our production was relatively constrained, and at the same time, demand went up. So we hit an historic peak for butter prices. Butter has never been more expensive, a more valuable commodity. And at $7,990 per US dollars per ton, at a 62 cent exchange rate, that is equivalent to $6.50 New Zealand for 500 grams of butter, or it was when I did the maths. But that's not a 500 gram block of butter. That's a container load of butter in, I think, they're 20 kilo blocks sitting on the dock. They haven't been portioned, they haven't been wrapped, they haven't been shipped by the half pallet to a 4 square in Gore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of expense on there, and your distributor's got to clip the ticket, your transporter and your supermarket. So I think if you take a $6.50 cost price for a raw product sitting on the dock, it's not too difficult to get to $8 in the supermarket.
And I understand that for butter product that's sold in France. I think what we don't understand is that milk that comes out of cows in New Zealand that gets then turned into butter in New Zealand, I think the bit that we're not understanding is, why is it essential for New Zealand to pay the international trade price for the products that, because I think about it like this. I'm a very simple man, Craig. If the cow's in Waikato and the mill, whatever, the that gets processed in Waikato, it gets put in a Hamilton supermarket, there's no international, that's not going to cost anywhere near as much as a block of butter that needs to get to London, yet we're paying London prices. This is what I don't kind of really understand.
If you're in London, that price that's on the dock. This seems to be a big misconception with international shipping. International shipping is dirt cheap. We're talking cents per kilo, but also Fonterra's not paying that shipping. So the customer buys it for that $6.50 per 500 gram block sitting on the dock, and then pays to have it shipped to China or Africa or wherever. That is the true cost or the true value of that butter without anything else being done to it. So you can forget international shipping because the customer pays for it.
Yeah, but that would still be passed on to the consumer. There's no international shipping in New Zealand to pass on to the consumer.
No, but that's also this butter. People think of butter and they think of a 500 gram block sitting.
Yeah, I got you.
That's not what we're exporting. We're exporting it to commercial bakeries. We're exporting it in sheets to make croissants. We're not exporting 500 gram blocks of butter. So there's still processing to be done in country to get it where it is. And even New Zealand butter that you see in Australia, that's not exported in 500 gram blocks. That's exported in bulk, and then it's processed there and put on the shelf. So there is no shipping, but there is still processing to be done here. And I'll tell you what, shipping within New Zealand is a hell of a lot more expensive. It's probably more expensive to get something from Auckland to Ashburton than it is to get it from Auckland to Shanghai.
Yeah. So is there, for the consumers out there that are going, how can we get cheaper butter, if they are asking that question? Like, is there an answer, or is it just basically suck it up, this is the price, this is the price?
I think the answer is, is to shop around and buy the home brands. If you believe the supermarkets, they tell us that they're selling their butter at cost price at the moment. I'm not sure I believe that, but that's what they're telling us. And if that $8 is their cost, then that's the cheapest you're going to find it.
Although in saying that, I wouldn't be surprised if some were even running a loss leader to get people through the door.
Food stuff. And I have had a few people in my comments alleging that they're losing 50 cents a block of butter, and maybe they are. But I'll tell you what, if I was selling butter at a loss, I would be letting people know to generate a bit of goodwill, because if there's one thing supermarkets need at the moment, it's probably a bit of goodwill.
So I understand what you're saying about the globally traded price. I mean, look, as I said, I'm a very simple man, Craig, and I look to places like, Saudi Arabia, where they produce petrol, and the local purchasers of petrol don't pay the globally traded price on oil. They pay a very cheap rate.
But it's also heavily subsidised.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So what you're saying is, for that kind of thing to happen here, the government would need to subsidise it, which means we're still paying for it in our taxes anyway. Yeah,
look, there's this misconception that farmers are subsidised, and I get that a lot as well. Every time there's a drought, the government bails you out. No, they don't. And all these people who, I find it extremely ironic, try and tell me that I'm subsidised and living off the government tip, all of a sudden want their butter subsidised. It makes no sense to me. I find it extremely ironic.
So when we try and work out what does it cost to manufacture a 500 gram block of butter, the cost price of the butter is based on the international trade, because that's what Fonterra can sell it for. So that's what they sell it for.
No. And that's what Fonterra has to sell it for. So that's another thing people forget, is that Fonterra is heavily regulated under the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act. And they are, so out of all of the dairy companies in New Zealand, Fonterra are the only one that are transparent with how they set the Farmgate milk price, because it's set down in legislation, it's overseen by the Commerce Commission, it's overseen by the government, and it's very prescriptive about what they have to do to get that price. So it's not that they've decided to do this, it's that they have to do this. It is legislated.
Well, there's not only that, but if you have, if you're on the stock exchange, you have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much profit as possible. Legally, you have to do that as well, aside from what's in legislation.
Well, in Fonterra's constitution, which is again legislated under the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act, is that Fonterra shall pay the highest sustainable Farmgate milk price. So that's. Right. When you're talking about shareholders, you're then talking about profitability. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about what farmers are paid.
Yeah. All right.
Profitability comes down to efficiency.
Chewie, got some thoughts or questions to wrap up? Because I know Craig will have to go to bed soon, won't you, Craig?
I have to get up and check the cows shortly.
I guess that the real takeaway here is this is a lot more complicated than it's being portrayed in the media. It's a lot more complicated than what Nicola Willis wants us to believe.
Yeah, look, if you followed me on TikTok, you may have noticed my tone has changed recently. I have been trying to be very educational about pricing and costs and whatnot, and how farmers are price takers. And recently, I've just said fuck it, and I've just embraced the fact that I can go to Sydney for a week because the butter price is high, which some people saw for the satire it was, and some people got very offended over. So I don't know.
I think in this day and age, when you're talking about, being able to afford things, I mean, this particular TikTok you did, I think would drive most people wild with, I'll just turn it down because it's probably the thing, with the amount of butter that one uses on a piece of toast. I think that must be a, $20 piece of bread you're going to eat right there with that much butter on it. I think that'll be the thing there you go. That'll be the thing that would frustrate most people.
As I said, my tone may have changed slightly over the past few weeks as Buttergate has roared out of control. But look, if I can say one thing, it would be that the prices will come down as New Zealand's production ramps up and supply matches demand, because Europe, everybody, there have been factories in Ireland have stayed open specifically to make butter because the returns are so good. So I would say that as our season kicks into gear and production ramps up, butter prices will come down. But also I'd say that these wholesale prices are only set every 3 months. The supermarkets negotiate with this. I can only speak to Fonterra, not Goodman Fielder, but the supermarkets negotiate a wholesale price every quarter. So anything that happens to a butter price between the 31st of May and whatever it is 3 months later, that's totally on the supermarkets. The wholesale price has not changed in that time. So every quarter we'll see a change, and that's why there's been a lag. I have made TikToks in the past where people were buying butter, complaining about the price of butter. Actually, last November I said it. And I've pointed out that the price of butter in the supermarket was actually cheaper than the GDT price. So there is a lag and it will catch up. Now, I know one person in my comments, when I said that, they went out and bought 50 blocks of butter and they're down to their last 2 now. So they were buying it at $5 a block.
And then they'll be selling it right now for 10 a block on Trade Me, double their money.
I think it's a good. They've done a good job. They've managed to eat it all. So thank them for supporting my lifestyle.
Hey Craig, thank you for being with us tonight. If people want to find out more about you or follow you, best places on TikTok. I know you're on Twitter and Blue Sky as well, but is TikTok the place to go?
I'm probably on TikTok more often now. I think Twitter's gone downhill in a big hurry since it got bought. But yeah, if anyone reaches out, I do check my DMs and do check my notifications.
Yep, and I can testify to that because that's how I got in touch with you. You're very kind with your time, and I know it's past your bedtime, so we'll just say thanks so much for joining us tonight. And be nice to those cows. Is that what you say? What do you say to a farmer?
And thank you for having me. But look, if anyone does have any questions about the mechanisms of butter pricing, I'm happy to share what I know. Most of it is publicly available knowledge. I have been to a fair few Fonterra conferences, and you were talking about Miles Harold before. And can I just say, when that man is at a farmer meeting, he has got everybody's attention. That man has the respect of every Fonterra supplier. That man's got mana, and and we listen to what he says. And I can understand why Willis wanted him to go out and explain things, because he's been working at Fonterra over 20 years in different roles, and he knows the business inside and out. I've got a lot of time for him.
So he was there when she was there, if he's been there for over 20 years.
Yeah, but he wasn't her boss at that point, though.
Do you think that, you use the word mana for him, do you think that Nicola Willis impacted his mana this week? Do you think what she's done has kind of painted him in an unfair light?
Oh, I'll tell you what upset me more than Willis, and I think it's probably impacted her more than him. What got me was reporters thinking it was relevant to ask him about his salary when we're talking about the price of butter. I thought that was a low blow. He shouldn't have to defend that. The man adds far more value to Fonterra than we pay him. So I know $6 million is a lot of money in anybody's book, but he earns every cent of it.
It's still not quite enough to buy a block of butter tomorrow, though, is it? Needs probably 8 million for that. Then you'll be sweet. All right, Craig. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll catch up again sometime in the future.
Not at all. Hope so too. I might have a better audio visual setup next time.
Okay. All the best. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Cheers, Craig.
See you, bye.